The age-old question. Who would win in a fight? One of every Pokemon or a billion lions? That's a billion with a B. The answer would seem obvious. Of course every Pokemon would win. They're Pokemon. They have, like, superpowers and, like, electricity and, like, fire and ice and stuff. But here's the thing. That's a billion lions. Do you have any idea how big a billion is? Like, for comparison, a million seconds is about 11 and a half days, but a billion seconds is about 31 and a half years. I have not been alive for a billion seconds yet. That is the sheer number of lines we're talking about here. So, do I think the Pokemon could win? Maybe, it depends. So, round 1, video game rules. We were playing this like a Pokemon game. It's a turn-based RPG, and a lion is essentially just a Pokemon. So let's assume every Pokemon and every lion is level 100. Everyone knows the fight is happening, and they have infinite prep time to be as prepared as possible. This takes place in one gigantic fight. We go from Bulbasaur to Ivysaur to Venusaur in numerical order. It's like Pokerogue, where stat changes and entry hazards stay from the previous fight. And everyone still has PP, so they can potentially struggle themselves to death. The lions are basically just another Pokemon. Let's assume they have about the same base stats as a Pyroar. Lions have 4 moves: Slash, Headbutt, Foresight, and Bite. Foresight is mainly there so they can at least hit ghost types, because lions don't have superpowers. Let's assume it's the normal type Gen 1 Bite. On paper, you would think that the lions would win. Every Pokemon is going to run out of PP eventually. However, the lions will also run out of PP eventually. That's where we have PP stallers. And not the traditional types with pressure and stuff like that. No, I'm talking about Harvest. This ability gives you a 50% chance to restore a held berry. So you can give this Pokemon a Lempa Berry and they essentially have infinite PP. Even with bad luck, this ability should be activating like every 3 or 4 times wherever it can. So, we get to our first Pokemon capable of having Harvest. And all of these Pokemon have Harvest as a hidden ability. But still, they have infinite prep time, they can have hidden abilities. Now, I don't know how many lions have been defeated by this point, but that's not really that important right now. And by the time it gets to execute, I'm sure that like spikes, toxic spikes, and stealth rocks have all been set up. So every time a lion comes out, they get hit with the spikes, then the stealth rocks, then the toxic spikes. So let's just say they come out like 2/3 of their health and they're poison. And we know for a fact that the lions can't learn rapid spin or like anything that can remove entry hazards, so they will definitely have to deal with the entry hazards for the majority of the run. And all that before we get to execute, who is the first point of interest. Because of Harvest, we could give them a moveset that just stalls everything out as much as possible. It's got Leech Seed, Synthesis, Sunny Day, and Giga Drain. Not Solar Beam. Leech Seed, so that they can get more health, obviously, and it also does chip damage. Synthesis is obvious, so that they can heal themselves. And the Sunny Day makes it so Synthesis heals more. And they don't have to worry about getting hit by Fire-type moves because they're just going up against lions. And as you may know, lions cannot breathe fire. So the strategy is set up Leech Seed, use Synthesis when you're low on health, and then Giga Drain for damage so that you can get more health. Basically, you just do this as much as you physically can. An Execute and Executor, they both have access to this, but you know, obviously Executor is going to do better. There's also a Lowland Executor because the regional forms technically count as new Pokemon. I'm counting them as separate Pokemon. Now, both forms of Executor have about the same stats, so they're probably going to do about the same. They get 2 chances to do this, you know? And you know, let's just go over all the Harvest Pokemon right now. The next one that comes up is Tropius. Tropius is going to try and do the exact same thing, but it can't learn Leech Seed, so we're going to replace that with Solar Beam, just because. I don't know, it doesn't really get anything else that could potentially be useful. Like Solar Beam just for more damage, I guess. And the next Harvest Pokemon are Phantom and Trevenant. Basically, they've got Ingrain, Leech Seed, Giga Drain, and Confuse Ray. Not Curse. You know, like, Curse sounds good on paper. It gives them an HP bug that gets rid of like a 1/4 of their health every turn, but you have to use half of your own health to do that. And staying alive is more important than anything else. So we'll get rid of them Confuse Ray instead. We're not giving them will-o-wisp because the lions are already poisoned from toxic spikes, so it's not going to do anything. Now, I might think Confuse Ray is bad because it takes more turns to get them to struggle, but this damages them, and it wastes their turn for you to do something else. The end goal is not for the lions to get to struggle. The goal is to outlast the lions so that you can kill all of them. Confusion helps you outlast them. Ingrain is another tool for this. It's basically just gives you leftovers. Pretty sure that's how it works, more or less. So like Ingrain plus Leash Seed, you'll be restoring like an eighth of your health like every turn just because. And you do have to like reactivate Leash Seed on every opponent, but it'll do. Worst case scenario, you just use Giga Drain. Trevenant does not get Synthesis, neither does Phantom, so we gotta make do with this. The last Pokemon family that can have Harvest is Arboliva. Arboliva? I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a Pokemon I've probably forgotten about already. Smoliv, Doliv, and Arboliva. Whatever, you know what I mean. They all learn the same moveset, like the other ones. So, Leech Seed, Giga Drain, Synthesis, and Sunny Day. Same as Executor, actually. It has to learn Synthesis through breeding. Luckily, it's in the same egg group as Executor, so they can just kinda hang out with the homies for a bit, if you know what I'm saying. Very convenient. I don't know how many lions exactly each one of these Pokemon can kill on their own, but I feel like they could all like take out a pretty big chunk of them individually just from doing this. Like obviously none of them will be able to defeat every lion in existence just from doing this, because just due to the laws of probability, I'm sure that they're gonna go down eventually. I'm just not sure how long that'll take. Another Pokemon of interest is Smeargle, because they can learn any move, so it can just use the Executor strategy. But you have to replace Sunny Day with Recycle because it can't get more PP otherwise. Now, Smeargle is probably not going to do as good of a job as Executor or Arboliva, but like, I don't know, I feel like it's going to hold its own, you know? And then there's Mew, who can learn most moves. Recycle is no longer a TM, but it used to be. Again, infinite prep time, so you can take a Mew from Diamond and Pearl, then transfer it to the present. It doesn't matter how long it'll take, it can learn Recycle. Now, Mew's only recovery move is Life Dew, which isn't as good as Recover or Synthesis, but it's probably good enough, especially if it has Nasty Plot to max its special attack to make Giga Drain better. So yeah, Recycle, Giga Drain, Life Dew, Nasty Plot. Mew could probably hold his own too. Now, given my own oddly specific rules, this means that they literally cannot attack Shedinja because of Wonder Guard. They also don't have any way of setting up status moves or entry hazards. So, Shedinja solos, right? Well, no. Shedinja doesn't have a way to get infinite PP, so it's gonna start struggling pretty quickly. And apparently Struggle actually ignores Wonder Guard, so it's not gonna last long anyway. Like, all it's gonna take is one line to use Struggle and it's dead. Individually, I don't think any one Pokemon can win using video game rules. Just due to the laws of probability, something is going to give eventually. But assuming every Pokemon capable of giving themselves infinite PP with Harvest or Recycle does their best, I think they have a chance. Realistically speaking, it's probably gonna take a few tries, but I think they can do it. This is not a question of can they win every single time. It's a question of is it possible for them to win? At least within reason, because I'm sure you could come up with like some weird double team strategy. I'm not getting into that. There are an infinite number of possibilities that they can use to defeat the Lions, which I think just supports my argument. Some way, somehow, they could win using video game rules. But what if they don't have prep time? So, round 2. Video game rules, but no one gets any prep time. They're just plopped into environment that they just fight lions until one side dies. Well, they all get mauled to death by lions. The end. Like, under normal circumstances, the lions win easily. In order to win, you need to come up with a highly specific strategy that is only useful in this situation. Who in their right mind is going to be running this strat just normally? Like, why would you do that? What's wrong with you? So, what if we aren't using video game rules? What if we're using anime/real life rules? You know, as real life as Pokemon can feasibly be. So, let's assume it takes place on a Minecraft flat world so that no one can escape the lions. So, my take on this: the Pokemon win easily. Like, just from the legendaries alone, how are the lions supposed to defend against a giant dragon that can stay in the sky indefinitely and can shoot lasers from its mouth? They can't. Assuming the lions can't reproduce, Rayquaza could just outlive them. Latios and Latias could probably live in the sky indefinitely too. Like, what are the lions supposed to do about that? I mean, I guess they could, like, pile on top of each other, but, like, the lions aren't smart enough to figure that out. Then you have stuff like Registeel, made of the hardest metal in existence. A lion can't hurt that thing. All they're gonna do is break their claws and teeth. They'll just give up. Regirock is in a similar position. Maybe they can scratch up the rocks, but I doubt they can do any real damage to it. And just think about the Golem and Gigalith families. They're living rocks. How are they supposed to hurt them? Or Fortress, or Scizor, or Steelix. Like, there is an entire type of Pokemon that they are physically incapable of hurting just from basic logic. Maybe they could crush them by piling on top of them, but this assumes that the lions are smart enough to figure that out. Maybe like 5 or 6 of them are pile on top before they just give up. Then we get to Pokemon like Slugma and Magcargo, and not the Magcargo is harder than the surface of the sun argument. Let's assume that's complete bullshit. But at the end of the day, it's still a lava slug. The lions will just hurt themselves trying to hit it. Same with Heatran, but worse. This lava is so hot that it's causing the metal on its body to melt. And then there's Ponyta and Rapidash. They have a fire main. That's a pretty easy form of defense. Lions are extremely flammable. Sure, their main doesn't hurt people that it trusts, but this is war. That fire is gonna hurt. Moltres is like this too. If his flamethrowers miss, hitting them with his fire wing should be pretty easy. I could go on forever with examples, so let's end this with Shedinja. Since Struggle and PP don't matter anymore, Shedinja just wins. They literally can't hit it. It's impossible. Shedinja wins by doing absolutely nothing. So, we have established that Pokemon will win with real-life anime rules very easily. We've also established that some Pokemon would be capable of soloing the lions. So the question is no longer which Pokemon can solo the billion lions. Who is the weakest Pokemon that can solo the billion lions? This is still using the anime rules. If we were going by game rules, I don't think any individual Pokemon could win. I think the weakest Pokemon that could win is debatable. Like, obviously Shedinja wins, but surely we can go weaker. I think there's a few candidates that can win. See Togedemaru. I feel like this is a good start. It's an electric Porcupine. Like, it acts like a lightning rod. Assuming it's in perfect conditions in a thunderstorm, it could do some real damage. Like, dude, it's a lion. It's not gonna survive getting struck by lightning. The thing is, I'm not sure if this little guy could take on 1 billion of them, you know? It seems a little too baby for that. And maybe a Magnemite could live following the same logic. I just don't think he can take on 1 billion of them, like completely by itself. Wattrel I think is a possibility. Like, it's a bird that can generate electricity. Like, same situation as Togedemaru. A lion isn't surviving that. Again, I'm just not sure if it can take 1 billion of them. Kilowattrel probably could do it though. Like, how are the lions supposed to fight back when it can just fly away, you know? For Seed, it's definitely one that can survive. I don't know if we could win necessarily, but it's a spiky seed made of steel. Like, what's a lion gonna do against that? I don't think it can kill the lions. Honestly, it might not even be able to outlive them. Like, it's not gonna win, but it's not gonna lose either. Honedge is in a similar situation. How are they going to attack a sword? Like, come on. And I don't think they could do much against Cufant. Like, it's a steel elephant. I don't think it can outlive the lions, but they wouldn't be able to kill it either. Shieldon is basically the same story. They can't kill this thing. Maybe it'll outlive the lions. It's kind of hard to say. Ghastly and Phantom occupy the same logic as each other. There's just a little ghost tooth that can float above them indefinitely because they're already dead. Meanwhile, the lions are going to die eventually. Now, Ditto is an interesting one. Ditto could live among the lions. They would never know. Ditto could live until it's the last lion standing. Like, I'd say a Ditto could outlive a lion. Now, the real weakest Pokemon that can win are Diglett and Drillbur, for the same reasons. They can just live underground. Like, what's the lion gonna do against that? Dig? Like, I mean, lions aren't exactly great diggers. A Drillbur can dig at like 30 miles an hour. It can just run away. It's an infinite Minecraft flat world. It can just keep running away. They could probably just vibe underground until the passage of time lets them outlast the lions. I don't think they would really have to try that hard, honestly. So, we have established that some Pokemon could just solo the lions, some even being pretty weak. So, are there any humans in the Pokemon universe that could win? Okay, obviously no. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. One person versus 1 billion lions. You die easily. I don't think there's any person on this planet that could win unless Let's say you have access to nuclear launch codes. Could you kill all the lions yourself while not necessarily being in the same place as them? I think Getsus could get access to nuclear launch codes. I mean, he's willing to kill a teenager. Why not a lion? Why not a billion lions? In the most brutal way possible. Now that I'm thinking about it, Chairman Rose probably could too. I mean, he's got money. He's probably got connections. He seems to have a questionable amount of ethics. Let's just get rid of the lions. What did they ever do for us? I mean, I know his whole thing is, I need to save the environment 1,000 years from now, but like, whatever. We can rebuild. Those lions are gonna die. Now, can I defeat a billion lions? Absolutely not. I'm not sure if I could defeat one lion. Look, man, if you disagree with me, this is an infinitely arguable conversation. Who knows how long we'll be debating this topic. Maybe our grandkids will be like, well, in Pokemon Generation 15, there's that one Pokemon that lives in lava forever. It won't die if it comes out of its lava soup shell thing. How is the lion going to attack it? One day, maybe we'll know the real answer, but for now, all we can do is debate. Just try and argue a case as to who would win in a fight, Pokemon or a billion lions. Me, it's most like the Pokemon, but if you disagree with me, if you have a wrong opinion, tell me why I'm wrong. I'll wait. Anyway, it's been fun. Take care, everyone.